Okay, great. I see more people joining, so that is great. Okay, so we can get started. Um, what I'll do today. So thank you again, everyone, for joining. I know that the time change or well, originally it was always 4 to 5, but for some reason it didn't update in the system and on the event page. So sorry about that for that confusion because I think in my emails I was saying 4 to 5, but then on the event it said 1:12 to or 1 to 2 or 12 to 1 or whatever it was. So sorry about that mix up. But thank you so much for still joining and making it today. So yeah, let's get started. Just as a note, we will be recording this session. So again, as always, feel free to turn your video off if you do not want to be, seen on this recording. And then we'll also please put any questions you have in the chat. What we'll do is depending on how many people we have. Okay, we have quite a few people. So I'll just wait till the end for Q&A, but I'll try to go through this and it's not super long of a presentation, so that'll leave time for hopefully question and answers, and you can unmute yourself and ask your questions after raising your hand, or we'll get to your questions in the chat. So, okay, let's get started. So, welcome. Thank you again for joining our session. We'll be talking about graduate funding, which is very important for most people when they're looking at making this investment in their future. That is an investment for a reason, because I know it can be a lot. to especially a 2-year program. So we'll talk more about that. And then yeah, I want to introduce myself as the director of admissions here. You've hopefully seen me before in other webinars, and yeah, and I've been in this position almost 2 years at Berkeley Journalism. So yeah, thank you for joining. Fuad, do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Yes, sure. Yeah, my name is Fawad. I'm in the second year of documentary program at the Berkeley School of Journalism. I work as a JP, admissions JPR with Nelly, helping her whenever I can with events and stuff. And I'm also a resource. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and ask me any questions in the webinar today. Thank you.
Thank you, Fuad. Um, and yeah, so we'll keep going. Oh, Fuad, did you say where you're from?
No, I didn't. I'm an international student from India. So if you have any specific questions related to international students, I'm happy to answer them.
Yes. Yeah, it looks like we might have some international students here, so just wanted to highlight that too. Okay, great. So again, today's agenda will be talking about the tuition and fees, just so you're aware of kind of what that cost looks like. And then funding opportunities, we'll speak through departmental specific opportunities, merit and need based. We'll talk about UC Berkeley specific opportunities, including, things like work study, academic student employment opportunities, and other types of fellowships and awards. Also, financial aid is under that. And yeah, so we'll talk through a lot of these different opportunities. And then I'll open it and we'll drop a lot of these links too. I think Fuwad can drop in some links if I see other links, I can also copy those in. So there will be a lot of links, but anything that you're really looking for that we'll discuss here can honestly be found on our costs and funding page. I've tried to really make it really comprehensive and include a lot of links to other resources at UC Berkeley on other pages because I know it can be confusing because UC Berkeley has so many resources. It can be overwhelming. And then also external resources as well and databases. So, and then yeah, we'll open it up to Q&A, obviously, and a discussion. And that's why Fuad is also here. He can kind of also address from his experience, and he can kind of speak more about kind of because he's also a fellow, so he can speak more to that experience too. Um, okay, so who are we? Again, our mission is to expand the worldwide impact of truth-seeking, fact-based, and inclusive journalism by training the next generation of diverse journalists to become exceptional storytellers and industry leaders. This is something I always like to start with because it's very, very important to us, and also making sure that there's alignment there with our mission, right? Of really trying to empower that next generation of storytellers, but also industry leaders. So hopefully, that is something that resonates with you. We're hoping for people to apply that are curious, bold, driven, independent thinkers who also want to make that impact through their storytelling. And so, yeah, you can see a picture. This is like a collage of kind of a lot of these were taken in the J School courtyard. So if you've been to our campus before, then you probably recognize that brick, um, um, building slash the flooring. That's our courtyard, which is home to a lot of our events on campus. And then, yeah, so I'm gonna delve right in and talk about tuition and
N-
fees and funding.
Nelly,
Yeah.
Nelly, I don't think the slides are moving. I don't know for some reason. We're still seeing the first slide.
Oh, weird. That is interesting. Hmm. Your skin. Oh, why does it say my screen sharing is paused? Interesting. Okay. 1 second. Resume. Let's see. Does this work?
Yeah, this I see the yeah today's yeah now it's working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's weird. I've never seen that. I didn't even know you could do that. So I must have accidentally pressed a button. Okay, so yeah, so today's agenda with our little cowl bear. Woo, go Bears. And I love having that little picture there. Okay, who we are, RG School Courtyard. And then I was saying the collage of just, right, different events. Our dean, Michael Bolden, is in the middle left corner, also featured there with the yellow tie. He's always well dressed, always wearing suits. And yeah, so I do want to delve into our tuition and funding opportunities and kind of showcase what the tuition and fees look like. So please note these are per semester fees, tuition and fees, and that California residency can be established if you're from out of state and you're a U.S. citizen permanent resident. So yeah, if you're an international student, then that fee, the tuition and fees are going to be that non-resident for the 4 semesters. So this is a per semester. Um, uh, yeah, screenshot or snapshot of the tuition and fees. So just something to make a note of. So anything you see here, if you're a resident, if you're from the state of California, you would be paying that residential fee for all 4 semesters. So again, if you're an out-of-state resident, the first 2 semesters would be that non-resident fee. The last 2 semesters would be the resident fee. Because well, as long as you go through the process to qualify for California residency while you're here. And then if you're international, it would be the 4 semesters of non-resident fee. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah. Okay, great. This is just something to note because sometimes people ask me questions about this, and I just want to be a bit clear. There are things that you can waive. For example, the health insurance fee can be waived. So if you have your own health insurance or from an employer, or or if you're a current student on your parents' insurance, that fee can be waived. So just make a note of that as well. The transit fee, yeah, Fawad, do you have any notes about any of these fees or things that you want to highlight? Um,
Not
I know
really.
the
I mean, this
transit,
is
I think the transit fee is for the bus pass, right? So it's like it covers all the, yeah.
yes. I mean, I'll just add to it. It's $229 that you're paying, but the Clipper card that you get, you can travel all across the Bay areas. It covers 9 counties, I think 25 transport agencies. So it's free across the Bay Area, whether it's
Mhm.
BART or the buses and stuff like that. So it comes in handy.
Yes, it's very, yeah, it is very convenient. A lot of our students do take public transit to campus just because it's easier than taking a car. And we have the BART, we have a downtown Berkeley BART, which is honestly like a 5 minute walk to campus, 10 minutes to the journalism school. So yeah, it's very, very convenient to also take public transit if you're not planning to have a car or you're not sure whether a car makes the most sense for you to commute. So yeah, just to note, the BART is our metro station. Metro is our main metro subway system, and so yeah, that is when I mentioned BART, that's what that is. Actually, it would be great to kind of have a sense of where people are coming from today. Maybe can you in the chat just make a note of like where you're based, or if hometown is more relevant, if your hometown is where you're currently based or where you would be applying from, I guess. Just to have a sense of California residents, international, that's always helpful, especially for funding discussion. Um, and then also, I don't have to talk too much about California if you're from, or the East Bay if you're from here. Okay. Okay, great. Mumbai currently. Oh, that's great. But you're based in New Jersey, Nigeria, Brazil, Ghana. Okay, we have such a nice mix here, which is very, yeah, very cool. Okay, so really yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna keep going, but yes, thank you for sharing a little bit about kind of where you're coming from today, joining us from. So, yeah, funding opportunities. I'm going to delve into each of these components a little more. This is just to give you a general idea. So, for first year resources, that means you coming in as an incoming student. Second year resources would be you coming in like Fuad into your second year as a current, meaning you're already a current student, right, on campus when you're applying for those additional opportunities. So for incoming students, which would apply to you, again, the opportunities include Berkeley Journalism Departmental Aid, which is merit and need-based aid, and we'll talk about, how to apply for that too. Federal student aid, which is through FAFSA or the California Dream Act, if you're undocumented, and then university employment, which includes academic student employment. The reason I want to highlight that opportunity is because it provides some of the most comprehensive tuition and fee coverage. So that's why I like to highlight that one a lot. Also, Fuad can talk about his experience because he's currently are you a GSI or a reader? You're a GSI, right?
GSI, yeah.
Okay, so he can talk about his experience too. So it's great that we have him here today as well to talk about what academic student employment looks like and what those opportunities look like for our current students, and then other awards and funding. So those are the ones we'll focus on today. So we're going to start with departmental funding, and we'll start with merit-based departmental funding. So every student is automatically considered for merit-based departmental funding. And that is, again, part of our holistic review process. So round one or round two, you will be considered for merit-based departmental funding. However, the December 1 priority deadline is going to give you priority in consideration for that funding. So that's kind of the difference. But if you were to apply in round two, it doesn't mean that we won't consider you for merit or need-based aid. So I do want to highlight that round one is going to ensure that you're given the most kind of consideration based on admission availability too with seats, and then also for that review for merit for departmental funding, including merit-based. So merit-based, what does that mean? I think most people know what that means, but just to clarify the difference between merit and need-based aid, merit is based purely on our holistic review of your application, right? So kind of your demonstrated you know, application in terms of your potential to succeed here, to thrive here, and our desire to have you, of course, be part of our cohort. So merit-based is kind of highlighting that, right? Whether or not we feel that you strongly deserve to be here. Of course, I'm not saying that if you don't get merit-based funding, that doesn't mean we don't think you deserve to be here, but just to highlight that merit is based really on merit, right? It's not need. That's slightly different. Applicants who apply by the round one deadline will not only receive, as I mentioned, priority consideration for the scholarships, for any merit-based scholarships, but also have the chance to apply for additional select scholarship opportunities. That includes opportunities such as LICI and international reporting, 11th hour food and farming, and then the Dean's Fellowship. So I have a picture here of I guess we had one, two, three, four, five, yes, five Dean's Fellows that were class of 2026. So
Six.
just to, hmm?
There's six.
Are there six?
It's six, yeah.
Wait, who's the sixth?
Andres, you see six in the picture here.
Oh, it's six in the picture. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I know, Sarah. Okay, this makes sense. Okay. Yes, you're right. It's six. I know. I think actually this was the first time that we awarded more than five. I think historically it's been five.
I don't
So
know how many are there in the 2027 cohort, but this is six in our
I think
cohort.
there's also six in yeah, but I think this was the biggest class of Dean's Fellows. So um, historically, the Dean's Fellowship we've had for a decently long time. The Jubilee and the Fiat Lux we've had for that's very recent. So Fuad knows about your Jubilee, I think, right? Yeah, Jubilee Fellow. So essentially, what was I going to say? Yeah, that actually, I meant to include an additional slide on this to kind of highlight the Dean's Fellows, the Jubilee, and the Fiat Lux. Those opportunities are fully funded fellowships. So Fuad was a recipient of that for the class of 2026 as a Jubilee Fellow, and that's a combination of merit and need. And again, you can apply for those positions for those fellowships not apply. You can be considered for those fellowships as long as you apply by round one. Um, you can also be considered for round two, but again, it's priority in round one. So my recommendation for everyone is if funding is a major consideration for you to really apply for round one because round two is really Um, just very, very competitive to get that funding, that merit or need-based departmental funding. So my recommendation is always to apply round one if you can. Um, yeah, does that make sense? So there are fully funded fellowships that include the Dean's Fellowship, the Fiat Lux, and the Jubilee. And then there are these additional scholarships that require an additional application that are exclusive to round one applicants as well. So you're going to be considered for that range of funding in terms of scholarships and fellowships from us in round one. Okay, need-based departmental funding. This is again need-based. So this is where if you are really looking to expand your options to be considered for need-based aid as well as merit, then in your online application, make sure that you complete the departmental grant section. And in there, you probably notice that there are a lot of kind of questions regarding your savings and projected earnings and things like that. And again, this is for us to have a better sense of your need relative to others. And the need-based essay is probably the most important part. So if you do not complete a need-based essay, you will not be considered for need-based funding. Um, so just to highlight that. The other second part to that is that you need to submit FAFSA. The priority deadline is March 2nd to be considered for loans and other kind of the federal aid, right? Not us, but for our purposes, for Berkeley journalism admissions, again, our department, you would need to submit that by January 15th. So again, round one or round two, you should submit that by January 15th. No later, but of course, the sooner the better. So it's just because I get this question about people, they're like, oh, do I need to do this by December 1? You don't need to submit FAFSA by December 1. But if, yeah, again, if you're interested in need-based aid, then please submit FAFSA as well. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So financial aid. So again, speaking to FAFSA, an interesting note here is that two-thirds of UC Berkeley students do receive financial aid. And again, financial aid is not need-based departmental aid. Financial aid is coming from, right, that's the process done through FAFSA that comes out of the UC Berkeley's Scholarships and Financial Aid Office. So it's a different process. So we don't have anything to do with financial aid. So just keep that in mind that those are two different things. Also, FAFSA is only for U.S. citizens and permanent residents. So Fuad, right, would not qualify for financial aid, which makes sense, right? He's an international student. So just to keep that in mind. So this would be specific to domestic students. Make sure, and again, something I do want to note here is that filling out a FAFSA does not obligate you to take out a loan. So this is really to just give you the maximal amount of opportunities to see what that loan, like what a loan option might look like, but you're not obligated. I submitted fast, so now I have to get, I'm obligated to do whatever they provide me, right? No, you don't. There's no obligation. And then as I mentioned, UC Berkeley's Financial Aid and Scholarships Office uses FAFSA as well to ascertain eligibility for those federal awards, including but not limited to Pell Grants, Federal Supplemental Education Opportunity Grants, Federal Work Study, and Federal Direct Subsidized Loans. There have been some changes since what's been happening under the Trump administration. So this is kind of the most up-to-date information. There used to be Grad Plus loans. That's not a thing anymore. So just to note. But yeah, but financial aid, I mean, this is still an option. It's not like there's no financial aid. So just so you're aware. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, so as I mentioned, completing your application for fall 2026 admission. Key tasks, carefully complete the departmental grant section, including your need-based essay. If you want to be considered for need-based departmental aid consideration, submit FAFSA by January 15th. And then again, as I mentioned, the round one scholarship opportunities that come with applying by round one that require separate application, those will happen around, though you will receive an email from me around December 15th with those opportunities, select opportunities. And again, the three I listed, I think are pretty secure, but there may be one or two additional opportunities there as well. That list changes and it's dependent on funding. Yeah, just to be aware. Um, For example, China reporting used to be one, but that one I don't think will happen this year. So just to be aware. Okay. So the two-year program format. I think one thing I want to highlight about a two-year program format is that this does give you more time and flexibility. So the beauty of a two-year format is that a lot of students will work in some form during their time and that it is feasible. Fuad, maybe you can also share your experience juggling work and life and studies, because I think that's a big question for a lot of prospective students. So, I do want to make the comparison to like a 9 month program, right? Where it's going to be very intensive and you won't have really any time other than devoting yourself fully to the program. But at the same time, I think there are things to be missed, because again, 2 years really allows you time to explore, to dabble. If you're interested in investigative work, to really be able to pitch, execute, and work on a story for a year and a half of time is really important, especially if you're doing investigative work. But really, it doesn't, even if you're not doing investigative work, a 2 year format is tends to be kind of what I hear from students to be very kind of crucial in their own decision making process about why Berkeley journalism. So yeah, Duad, maybe you can share a little here of your experience.
Yes, sure. I mean, that's actually very important how a 2-year program helps you in that sense. Like most of the people in my cohort I know have some kind of job, whether on campus or off campus, depending on your status, whether you're an international student or domestic student. Because as an international student, you can't work off campus, especially in the first year. In the second year, you can up to 20 hours. So first year I mean, there are various opportunities that you could pursue. I used first year I did dining job. I preferred that job over other on-campus jobs because it gave me flexibility. Like I could work on weekends, I could work after classes and stuff. But there are other opportunities. There are more intellectual jobs like writing, social media, and video, all kinds of jobs available on campus. And some of those people actually want people from the journalism school, so you'd have like upper hand. And then the as Nelly mentioned, the AC jobs, which is GSI, which is graduate student instructor, which on other campuses are called TAs, teaching assistants, and then reader positions. Those have additional benefits as you get fee remissions if your job is for more than 10 hours a week. If that particular position is for more than 10 hours a week, then you qualify for fee remission. And these are again graduate student instructor, readers, and tutors, and GSRs as well. Like all the four positions qualify for fee remission. But I would recommend in that case, if you're looking for these jobs as soon as you get admitted, they're very competitive. They're not easy to get because there are very limited number of positions available, and some departments prefer their own PhD students. And since our journalism school doesn't have a PhD program, so there are some positions available at the J school. There are positions. Most of us work outside the J school as GSIs and readers. So yeah, so my recommendation is as soon as you get admitted, you start looking for those jobs, you start applying for those jobs. If you get it will also obviously give you fee remission, but also a decent salary. So yeah, and you can only do that if you're in a 2-year program. You can't honestly do that if you're on a 1-year program because it gives you more time, it gives you more flexibility, the courses you can pick, the time you have to dedicate to your courses, and yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Anything else you want me to add, Nelly?
Um, Sorry, I also realized I have a typo. Graduate student instructors. Yeah, so graduate student instructors are like TA positions. Readers are doing more grading, but it's a little um, less involved, I would say. And then tutors are kind of probably the least involved. Graduate student researchers as well is another opportunity. But which department are you in, Fuad, working for?
I'm in the media studies department. So yeah, so actually, I mean, again, because it aligns with what I do. so it's easier for me to get. But there again, there are very limited number of positions. There are two GSIs from the journalism school in this particular course, Intro to Media Studies. It's me and Inara. And I think last year, Inara has been working since first semester.
Mm,
So I know that fact. Yeah, so there are other, like I know someone who used to work in the history department, and all of these
mm,
positions are technically open to everyone. But
mhm.
there are obviously preferences and your background and what you have done before that. So you go through the interview process, and it's a rigorous process to get those positions. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you all have questions about that? And again, we can leave questions at the end, or I want to make sure that also if you have questions about GSI or graduate student instructor, academic employment. But again, these are positions just to highlight. This is not something you would apply for before joining the program. As Fuad mentioned, you would apply once you're admitted and you've accepted your offer then and become a matriculated student, meaning you have your Berkeley email, you have your Cal ID, then you would be able to start to officially apply for these positions. And again, you don't need to apply for J school positions. You can apply, there's no limitation. You can apply for as many jobs on campus, any of these GSI reader tutor positions or GSR across campus. So, yeah, and we'll talk more about it kind of, later on in the process. So if you are admitted, and then, I'll talk more into the specifics of how you can kind of apply for these. So, and then also be sharing these opportunities with you too. So kind of I'll send weekly or weekly emails about these are the different opportunities. I will say most of our students are successful more in the history media, it's the film and media or media studies, the Latin American studies. What's the other one that really likes journalism students? Um, Pretty much, I mean, political science. So there's a lot of, but again, it depends on what your background is. So if you're coming from a science background, you may be more qualified for some of these other departments, right, that are science in the sciences. So it really just depends on your background, academic background, and if you have teaching experience, of course, at the undergrad level, that's or just in your prior experience, that can also help make you more competitive for these positions. But they are the most comprehensive. So as Fuad mentioned, it covers your tuition and fees minus the PDST and the NRST. So if you're an international student, it's going to cover a little less, but still, it is a lot because on top of that, you get a salary, you get an hourly wage. So with that, you can use that to pay for rent, pay for housing, pay for food. And, so that is where it's really helpful is that you get money in hand, but then also on the back end, your tuition is, your billing, your account, your tuition and fees are, kind of being lowered, right? They're reduced substantially. So, yeah, I hope that makes sense to everyone. I did want to go back to kind of again highlighting the UC Berkeley advantage, which just means that there are so many resources here at UC Berkeley. That includes academic student employment. But just to highlight the different opportunities, fellowships, meaning that, they typically cover your education and living expenses. Grants cover more specifically, different projects and the covering specific projects. And then other types might be loans, as we mentioned, like FAFSA from federal loans to wages from teaching and research assistantships that we kind of just mentioned with the academic student employment. Um, and yeah, and then so UC Berkeley has so many opportunities. And yeah, so I wanted to highlight these as well. But any questions here before I go on? Because I know it's a lot of information. Oh, and maybe Fuad, you can put some of these links in here too in the chat. That way students can kind of students applicants can have access to these because I know it's a lot of information. Um, yeah. Okay, well, I'll keep going then. And then we'll just leave it to the end. So I think a good place to start is with UC Berkeley's graduate division online list of university, divisional, and extramural fellowships, grants, and awards. This even includes things like very specific grants available to student parents and caregivers. So there's a lot of very specific different types of grants, and depending on your situation, depending on your interest, it may be applicable to you. So I would take a look at that list from Graduate Division, because that is a very comprehensive list of opportunities, and again, ranging from fellowships to grants to other scholarship and awards. Additionally, they offer some databases. So if you're looking for kind of other types of scholarship funds or, fellowships, then you can look at some of their national fellowship databases. They also have one for international students specifically. So I recommend also looking at that if you're an international student specifically, because obviously, your eligibility is going to look different for different opportunities. Some are going to be specific to US citizens, permanent residents, others are going to be more specific to international students. And then, yeah, lastly, exploring outside resources, including professional associations aligned with your discipline. And we actually have compiled a list ourselves, and it's a list of external fellowships. So I recommend looking at that. There may be eligibility again requirements specific to, you have to be a current student already, or, you have to, so you have to read really closely and see, one, if you're eligible because of your situation, or your background, or, there's very different criteria for all of these. So I would just do the research and try to apply to as many as you're eligible for. That's going to just maximize your opportunities beyond just because I think Fuad can attest, even though, he is a fellow and received a lot of funding, he still is working on top of that. And I think that's pretty common just because, again, money is always helpful, right? There's never a point where so this is why I say look for the range of opportunities, right? Don't just assume like I'm going to get a fully funded fellowship, or don't assume that, because even then a lot of students still work part-time, they still freelance, they still do different things, right? So just keep that in mind. So apply now. And a lot of those deadlines are, I feel like, in February, March, but some of the more competitive ones are in December. So just, yeah, start applying, research and apply. Yeah. And so that's kind of, yeah, those are my tips for success. Be on time, plan ahead, persistent. And that's going to really help you for everything related to funding. The same thing with academic student employment. I think Fuad, although I would be curious how many positions you applied for, Fuad. I've talked to some people and they said that they applied to like 15, 20. Some people said 30, but then some people were like, I applied to two. So I don't know if there's a magic number there. But
Yeah, that's actually pretty common. Some people, I actually the reason a lot of people had to apply to more positions because it's harder to get these positions in the spring than in the fall. So most of the professors hire a GSI or a reader in the fall and then they continue over the spring. So if you apply in the fall, my recommendation is you have a better chance of getting a position. So I did not do that in the fall. I was late, so I could not get in the fall, and then it just became harder over the spring. And I think that's pretty much like one advice I would give, like start early. And as the number of applications, I mean, it depends on the person. Some actually, as Nelly mentioned, some only applied to two. I got one, and some have applied probably to 20 and never got one. So, so it depends, and how qualified you are, and what your background is. So stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, be persistent. Like you'll realize that when you come to the J school, you'll keep applying probably to one job or something like every other week, fellowships, scholarships, internships, and all of that. I just want to add one thing here. So also, certain countries have their own scholarship fundings available. For example, I know for India there are some scholarships available. One is very popular called INLACS, which covers your entire tuition and expenses. One is Aga Khan Foundation scholarship that's available. So these fundings, you should also look for those if you don't. I don't know anyone in Berkeley who got, but I know some friends who went to Columbia and got INLACs or Aga Khan, stuff like that. So if you could, those are also options available to you. And another thing, like being in a 2-year program is because your costs are also divided, like distributed across 2 years. So even that this is one advice that I've given to my friends. Even if you're not able to like get a job or get a funding, it's easier to do that if it's spread across 4 semester than like one huge big investment made in just one year that other schools require you to do. So that's yeah, that's what I'd say. And Nelly, you don't have a slide on Jubilee Fellowship. I don't know if that was if you want me to expand on that. You're mute.
Which one?
The Jubilee Fellowship.
Yeah, I know. I thought I included a slide and then I don't know what happened. So yeah, the you can speak to it, but yeah, you don't need to apply the fellowship that Fuad got, you don't need to apply
Yeah.
separately. That's part of our merit-based funding. So that means Fuad impressed us and got merit merit and need a fellowship. So yeah, I mean Fuad, you also applied in round one, right? I think you
Yes,
applied.
I applied to. I mean, that's one big difference that I mean, just apply to round one if you're looking for funding. That's just you know,
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I was gonna say with the fellowships, so with Fuad's fellowship, he received full funding for the 2 years and also living stipend. So that's definitely selective. I wouldn't say it's I mean it's selective, but we did give a decent amount of these fully funded packages last year and 2-year class. Um, Yeah, so I mean, a decent amount of the class is funded through the fellowships. So I think if you have a compelling application, whether it's merit or merit and need based, it doesn't mean that you don't need to display need to be considered for these fellowships. So again, because we have these different categories of Jubilee, Fiat Lux, and Deans. The Dean's Fellowship is specific to first generation college students. So that one you do need to submit an additional application for. But again, so meaning that you would need to apply in round one to be eligible for that opportunity. And that was where, I showed you the group of 6 Dean's Fellows so they were fully funded as well. Yeah, and I do want to also highlight that we have application fee waivers. My recommendation is if you're a domestic student, make sure that you submit your application a bit on the earlier side. That way you can make sure that if you're applying for the application fee waiver through graduate division, that, because it takes usually 24 to 48 hours for them to waive the fee if you're eligible. And then if you are applying for a departmental fee waiver from us, then for example, if you're an international student, you are welcome to submit a request. Just email me and I can send you the form to request through us. But again, these are very selective. So, and please make sure to do it by no later than November 17th, which I know is actually coming up really quickly, because we'll start reviewing those applications for the departmental fee waiver starting November 17th. So, okay. Does that help answer? And then, yeah, just upcoming events. Drop-in admissions office hours starting next Monday. We're starting them up again. So Fuad will actually be leading the next one on Monday. Haiti will be leading it on Thursday. And then we'll have a lot of these open hours for you, so you can just drop in if you're working on your application, you need some insight or feedback, you can ask Fuad or Haiti, our admissions J peers who work in the admissions office. And then again, there are these 2 deadlines. As Fuad mentioned, if funding is a big consideration, please do aim for that December 1 deadline. Again, if you can't, and January 15th is really the only time you can submit, then you will still be considered for funding. But again, that will be a lot more competitive. Again, just because of admission and availability of seats. So, yeah. Does the Any questions? I know we're at 4:46 and I was trying to keep this on the shorter side so we could leave it open to you all for questions.
I wanted to ask if the same scholarships apply to the dual MPH and Masters of Journalism.
Good. That's a very good question. I also didn't include the MasterCard. My God.
I've shared the link though,
For
Mastercard Foundation
MasterCard?
page. I've
Yes.
shared
If
the
you
link
have,
in.
if anyone has questions about the MasterCard, yeah, I can briefly talk about MasterCard. That's another big comprehensive funding opportunity that's fully funded for students from the continent of Africa. So yeah, I'm happy to speak more about that, but that's a different process too. So I mean, it's under UC Berkeley. It is UC Berkeley managed. It's a UC Berkeley opportunity, but yeah. What was the question?
If the same scholarships apply for the dual MPH and MJ program.
Yes, if we go back to, let's just go back to that like big, yeah. So you will be considered for merit and need-based aid. Um, I will say that the fellowships are really hard to get because it's complicated, but because you're doing a 3-year program, from a funding perspective, it's very hard for us to just fund those first 2 years. So I will say that if you're applying for a concurrent degree, also for MasterCard, if you're applying MasterCard, you cannot apply for a concurrent degree. It only covers 2-year programs. So that is something to consider, is that, it is, and I understand it's more expensive. I would reach out to the public health department and see what their opportunities are like over there. I know that our current public health journalism student did get funding from both us and public health. So that is a possibility, but just to know that it's just very challenging to get the fully funded opportunities with a concurrent degree. Yeah, it's very, very competitive. So just because again, it's a 3-year tuition program. Yeah, but that's a great question. Any other questions? But yeah, I do want to highlight that for the MasterCard because sometimes people ask me and MasterCard only covers 2 years. So we cannot nominate you for consideration for MasterCard if you're applying for the concurrent degree. Yeah, unfortunately. Um, yeah,
Maybe
any other questions?
there's a question about application fee waiver.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so they have it in the chat. I have a question about the fee waiver. I heard that 12 was due, but does that mean I have to submit my application the 12th since it's just uploading a document at the moment? Um,
No. So you're doing the departmental one or the graduate division fee waiver?
this is
That's
the
it.
fee. I
Is
I
this
don't know. I don't know. Let me see. Wendy, do you want to ask that? Clarify that.
Yeah, that I'm just talking about the regular grad school.
Oh, okay. So so are you uploading like a form to show like that
Pass.
you're qualified or you're
Correct.
eligible? Yeah. So what happens is you'll upload the material, you'll fulfill your departmental grant section, and then when you submit, it'll take 24 to 48 hours for graduate division to like check your documentation. It's pretty quick. But that's why I say don't wait till the last moment just to make sure that you have enough time to be kind of approved or for that to go through. Because otherwise that might delay your application being delivered to us because it's awaiting payment essentially. In the system, it won't be like submitted. It'll be submitted, but it's in the awaiting payment bin. It's not, it doesn't move until the payment has been paid. The fee waiver has been paid. So that's why I'm saying, if you're waiting on a fee waiver to come through, I would try to do it a few days early from the deadline. But they're pretty quick. Usually they move pretty quick. If you have the documentation, your application will move forward. It'll be submitted, fully submitted. And if for some reason it doesn't go through, they'll send you an update. It'll like there's an email that'll be sent to you saying like you need to go ahead and like use an alternative payment form of payment. So they will you'll be notified. But I mean 99% of them get approved. Again, if you have the paperwork to demonstrate need per their requirements. The other thing too, Wendy, is if you have issues, feel free to email me as well.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
thank you for joining. Alejandra, I see that she's leaving. Great. Any other questions?
There's a question for a MasterCard applicant. Do I qualify for the departmental fee waiver? And are other opportunities I could apply for a fee waiver?
So I know the MasterCard has their own fee waiver process. So if you go through the MasterCard, if you reach out to them, I think they do have their own fee waiver process. But I don't know of any other fee waiver like fee waivers that you can do you know, outside of that. So for international students specifically, I mean. And then yeah, the way you'll hear back from us is as long as you submit that application fee waiver request form to the department, you'll hear back probably after November 17th, which is when we start reviewing those. And I'll probably finish reviewing them by the 20th or something, and then notify applicants that have been approved for that fee waiver based on um their submission. So I hope that helps answer your question. Again, these are very selective. The department, it's not like graduate division. They have unlimited fee waivers, like graduate admissions, UC Berkeley. So that's why I recommend going to them first if you're a domestic student, because they have unlimited fee waivers that they can extend. However, departmental fee waivers, that's coming directly from department, and that's a much smaller budget, unfortunately. So that's why I recommend going to graduate division first, if you can. I hope that answers questions. If you have any questions too, just email me. I'm happy to, if you're curious about your own particular situation or case, I'm happy to, you know, help or at least direct you to the right resource if I can't help. Yes. Yes. So thank you, Rachel. I see that question about the MPH-MJ session. We're currently in the process of getting that done. We've had so many events that it's just taken us a while to get through all of them in the last few weeks. So that hopefully we can get that recording out to you all and then up on the website. The other place to look would be the YouTube channel. So if you're ever curious, like, oh, where can I find these uh, event recordings? Go to our YouTube channel. I can copy paste it here for everyone. And that's going to give you, the faculty panels. It's going to give you the student panel. It's going to give you all the events, all the recordings that are already up, but we are working on the MPHMJ and the application workshop that from last week that should be done hopefully by, I'm hoping tomorrow. So I can get those sessions out to you. Okay. Any other questions? The key takeaway here is apply for round one if you can. Um, and complete the departmental grant section, I think. And that applies to international students too, right? Because need-based aid, departmental aid, the international students do qualify for as well, right? Merit. And if it's coming from the department, dean's fellowships, all the fellowships are open to international students as well. So you are you'll be considered for those. So yeah, that's not specific to California residents, for example, or anything. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for spending. This is the first time I've finished in less than an hour. Um, but thank you so much for joining. And yeah, if you have other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm just an email away. And our team, Fuad, is a great resource as well. You know, second year student, you'll be on your way to graduating in just a short semester away.
Don't remind me, okay? Please don't. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you so much for your time.
Thank you, Grant. Have a great rest of the evening.
You too.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everyone.